Y'all know her name? So please welcome your host, Leah G. I am just soups excited. I'm soups excited. Who is excited, y'all? We are live today using the paid version of StreamYard. But look, we here though. Period. We here though. Yay. How are y'all doing? It has been long time. Seemed like a long time. Hey everybody, I'm so glad that you're here. Whether you're watching live or catching the replay, thank you for spending part of your day with me. I know I'm going live a little bit earlier, but that's because I have some other priorities tonight. So today we're talking about something that happened to me recently that honestly had me questioning whether I wanted to finish my shift. The noodles were still hot. I had exactly 10 minutes for my break, and I was trying to enjoy every single one of them because anybody who's ever worked customer service knows those 10 minutes disappear disrespectfully fast. I'm sitting there eating, none of my business, watching the clock. Then, right at the end of my break, I hear my name over the store microphone. Leah, come back to work. Now, sis, I knew my break was over. I knew where I was supposed to be. I wasn't hiding in the bathroom. I wasn't outside scrolling TikTok. I was literally finishing my noodles and getting ready to head back. But hearing my name announced through the whole store like I disappeared for 3 business days, that tested me. Immediately, I had a response ready. Okay. You know those moments where your mouth hasn't moved yet, but your brain has already written the entire speech? Yeah, that was me. Then she looked at me and said, when it was time for her to go, she said, "Bye, Leah," with a tone. I thought, oh, so this is how today's going. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted everyone to know I haven't done anything wrong. I wanted to explain myself for a split second. I was ready to walk out. I had only 1 hour left on my shift, but emotionally, I was finished. Okay. That reality interrupted my emotions. I needed that last hour. Okay. My bills were not going to care that someone got on my nerves. Just being honest. My bills weren't going to care that someone got on my nerves. My bank account wasn't going to reward me because I had made an emotional decision. So I stayed. Not because I was afraid, not because she was right, not because I didn't have something to say. I stayed because I asked myself one question: what's more important right now? Proving my point or protecting my peace? Because those aren't always the same thing. For years, I thought that using my voice meant explaining myself until everyone finally understood me. I thought boundaries meant winning every single argument. I thought self respect meant responding immediately every time someone crossed the line. But now I learned something different. Sometimes protecting your peace sounds like silence. Sometimes maturity sounds like no response. Sometimes confidence looks like walking away with your dignity still intact. And here's what really hit me later that night. The reason I felt trapped wasn't only because of the situation, it was because I knew I needed that paycheck. When one paycheck controls every decision you make, you tolerate things differently. You stay quiet differently. You swallow frustration differently. Not because you're weak, because you don't feel like you have another option. That's when I realized this story wasn't actually about a coworker. It wasn't about noodles. It wasn't about noodles. It wasn't even about my break. It was about something so much bigger. It was about realizing that protecting my peace today doesn't mean you stop creating more choices for tomorrow. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. Because once I realized that, I started asking myself a different question. Not how do I win this argument, but how do I build a life where one difficult moment doesn't make me feel trapped? That's where my movement began. I believe there is something deeply wrong with the fact that so many hardworking people feel like they have to face life's biggest moments completely alone. A landlord raises the rent. Somebody receives a legal letter in the mail. An employer asks them to sign paperwork they don't fully understand. Identity theft happens. A family knows they need a will but keeps putting it off because they assume talking to an attorney is something only wealthy people can afford. So they do what most people do. They Google it. Hey, can I get amen? They ask Facebook. They hope for the best. Or they simply stay quiet because asking for professional help feels so financially out of reach. That's a much bigger problem than most people realize. Okay? Research from the Legal Services Corporation found that many low income Americans don't receive enough legal help for serious legal civil issues. And concerns about costs are a major reason people don't seek help. Think about that. Not because people don't care, because they believe they don't have access. That breaks my heart because I know what it feels like to believe like your options are limited. I know what it's like to keep your head down because you need the paycheck. I know what it's like to second guess yourself because you're afraid one wrong move could make life even harder. That's why my movement has simply never been about Legal Shield. Legal Shield is a tool. The movement is helping people rebuild trust in themselves, helping women stop settling, helping women stop believing they're stuck, helping women believe they can create more choices than they have today. Because once a woman starts trusting herself again, everything changes. She speaks differently. She sets boundaries differently. She asks, she starts asking better questions. She stops believing everyone else's opinion matters more than her own. And yes, part of that includes having legal protection. Part of that includes creating additional income. Part of that includes learning new skills. But those things aren't the destination. They're tools that support a much bigger mission. My dream is not simply that women earn more money. My dream is that women wake up knowing they have choices. Choices about their future, choices about their work, choices about what they tolerate, choices about how they protect themselves and the people they love. Because when you have more choices, you carry yourself differently. You don't have to walk life through from fear. You walk through life from confidence. And that's why I do what I do. Not because I'm trying to convince someone to join a company, okay? Because I believe every woman deserves to know what it feels like to stop surviving and to start building a life she actually enjoys. Now, whenever I share that vision, people usually ask me the same question. Okay, Leah, but what actually makes Legal Shield different? I'm glad you asked because that's what we're diving into next. One thing I learned is that people don't say no because they don't care. They say no because they don't understand. So instead of overwhelming you with everything Legal Shield offers, I want to offer you the 4 things that made me stop and say, okay, this actually makes sense. All right. The first thing is access before the emergency. Most people don't think about an attorney until life is already stressful. A letter shows up, a contract needs to be signed, a landlord issue pops up. Something unexpected happens. Then you're scrambling. That's what I love. What I love is that Legal Shield gives you access before you're in panic mode. You don't have to wait until everything is falling apart. You can ask questions before you make the decision. That's huge because most people don't make bad decisions on purpose. Sometimes they simply don't have anyone qualified to ask. The outcome, instead of reacting after something goes wrong, you make smarter decisions before it does. The second thing is real attorneys, not random opinions. We've all done it. We've all done it. You Google a legal question. 5 different websites tell you 5 different answers. Then somebody in the Facebook comments tells you something completely different. Now you're even more confused than when you started. With Legal Shield, you're connected to real attorneys who can answer questions based on your situation. Not a stranger online, not somebody guessing, not your cousin who watched courtroom TV show once. The outcome, less confusion and more confidence. Number 3, predictable access. One reason people avoid legal help is simple. They're afraid of the bill. They are afraid of the bill. They don't even want to make the phone call because they're already imagining how expensive it might be. Having predictable access changes that mindset. Instead of avoiding questions, people actually ask them. The outcome is peace of mind because uncertainty keeps people stuck much longer than they need to be. And number 4 is everyday protection. When people hear legal services, they also think lawsuits. Most of life is not lawsuits. It's everyday decisions, contract, identity concerns, workplace questions, landlord issues, planning for your family. The little things become big things when nobody helps you understand them. Having support for everyday life means that you don't have to navigate everything alone. The outcome is more confidence, more preparation, and more peace. That's why these 4 things stood out to me. Not because they're impressive on paper, because they help ordinary people feel less overwhelmed. And that's something I believe every hardworking woman deserves. Now, when people hear me explain that, another question comes up, usually. Okay, Leah, but why do some people seem to build confidence so quickly after they get started? I'm glad you asked because I don't think it's magic. I think it's momentum. When I talk about results, I'm not automatically talking about money because honestly, the first result most people experience isn't in their wallet, it's in the mirror. It's how they see themselves. Momentum happens before big results ever do. And here's why. When someone joins our community, they aren't left wondering, okay, what do I do now? They have somewhere to begin. They start learning, they start practicing, they start showing up differently, and that changes something internally. I'll give you a real example. A woman named Jessica joined my team. She wasn't trying to become an expert overnight. She wasn't trying to have everything figured out. She simply committed to building a strong foundation. Within her first 3 days, we had a branded profile photo, a branded cover photo, her own logo. And my favorite part, she discovered a mission statement she genuinely believed in, the people that she wanted to help. Watching that was very exciting. Not because she suddenly became famous, not because she made $1 million, because she finally knew who she was showing up as. Before joining, she would have still been confused about how she wanted to present herself online. She kept wondering, what do I even post? What do I stand for? Instead, she gained clarity. She found direction. She stopped trying to copy everyone else, and confidence started replacing confusion. That's what I mean when I say momentum happens quickly. Sometimes your first win isn't financial. Sometimes your first win is finally believing. I actually have something worth saying. Sometimes your first win is showing up online without apologizing for who you are. Sometimes your first win is realizing you stopped waiting for permission. That's how growth starts. One decision, one action, one layer of confidence at a time. And when you keep stacking those little wins, starts looking different. Not overnight, but consistently. That leads me to something I've been saying a lot lately. Actually, it's become part of my personal philosophy because the next idea isn't just something I believe about business. It's something I believe about life. If you follow me for any length of time, you probably heard me say this phrase. Options with backup. Not just options. Options with backup. Because here's the truth. Most people are living with one option, one paycheck, one employer, one schedule, one plan. And when that one thing gets shaken, everything too. The paycheck determines every decision you make. Rude customer feels heavier. A difficult customer feels heavier. Unexpected bill feels heavier. Everything because you don't feel have a choice. That's why I stopped chasing the idea of escaping my job overnight. I started chasing something better. Options with backup. To me, that means building another layer underneath your life, another skill, another community, another source of confidence, another income option, another place to grow. Because backup isn't only about money, backup is knowing life can surprise you and you won't be starting from zero. Women make different decisions when they have options. They set healthier boundaries. They stop tolerating things they used to accept. They speak with more confidence, not because they're arrogant, but because they know they have choices. That's why my movement isn't simply about earning extra income. It's about helping women become the kind of woman who creates choices before she's forced to. That's options with backup. Not just a phrase, a completely different way of living. Now you might be listening and wondering, Leah, who is this really for? Because the truth is, it isn't for everybody. And that's exactly what I want to talk about next. Now, I want to be really clear about something. When people ask me, who is this for? My answer isn't everybody, because it isn't. The woman I'm talking to is probably between 25 and 35 years old. She works hard. Maybe she's in customer service, maybe retail, maybe hospitality, maybe another job where she's constantly helping everyone else. She's dependable. People know that they can count on her. She shows up, she works, she smiles, she gets the job done. But if she's honest, she's tired, not lazy, not unmotivated, just tired. She's tired of checking her bank account before buying herself something small. She's tired of saying, maybe next paycheck. She's tired of working hard without feeling like she's actually getting ahead. She dreams about traveling, decorating her home, having money for extras without feeling guilty, helping her family, maybe even owning a home someday. But every month, life seems to take the money before she gets to enjoy it. And here's the part that she usually doesn't say out loud. She's starting to wonder, is this really all life is? Not because she hates her job, but because she knows she's capable of more. She's already tried working overtime. She's picked up extra shifts. She's clipped coupons. She's watched the budgeting videos. She told herself, if I just work harder. But harder hasn't always meant free. The biggest struggle isn't only financial, it's emotional. Because after hearing no enough times, after putting herself last enough times, after settling long enough, she starts questioning herself. She starts wondering if maybe she's asking for too much. Maybe this is just adulthood. Maybe this is just life, how life is supposed to be. And that's the lie I want you to challenge. Because I don't believe she's asking for too much. I think she's asking for choices. She's asking for breathing room. She's asking for peace. She's asking for the chance to build something that belongs to her. She wants another option without immediately quitting her job. She wants another stream of income she can build alongside what she's already doing. She wants guidance, community, someone who's actually lived what she's living. And if any part of that sounds familiar, I want you to know something. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you're definitely not the only one. Sometimes all you need is one decision that reminds you you still have options. Now, if you're listening and thinking, okay, this sounds like me, the next question is always, where do I even start? Let me make that simple. One thing I appreciate is that you don't have to figure out 10 things on day one. You don't have to buy everything. You don't have to know everything. You simply need a place to begin. If I were sitting across from you having cranberry juice instead of doing this live, I'd tell you the exactly same thing. Start with the Legal Shield and the ID Shield combo membership. That's where I would start. It's $44.90 per month. Who is it for? It's for someone who wants to stop feeling like they're navigating life completely alone. It's for someone who wants access to legal help before a problem becomes overwhelming. It's for someone who wants identity protection in a world where personal information is constantly at risk. It's for someone who wants to create a little more peace of mind, not perfection, peace, because peace has value too. And honestly, sometimes the greatest benefit isn't what happens, it's knowing you have somewhere to turn if something does happen. If you've been listening today and you're thinking, I've never really considered something like this, that's okay. You don't have to decide everything today. The next step is simply learning more. Ask questions. Understand what's included. See whether it fits your life. That's exactly how I started. One conversation, one decision, one step. And sometimes one step changes much more than you expected. Now, I also know some people are thinking, but what if this isn't for me? That's a fair question. So let's talk about that. I never want someone to say yes because they felt pressured. That's not how I do business. I rather make I rather someone make an informed decision than a rushed one. Here's what I appreciate about this membership. This isn't a long-term contract locking you in. If you decide it's no longer the right fit for you, you can cancel. It's that simple. These aren't free trials. There isn't a money back guarantee. So I want to be transparent about that. Instead, what I encourage people to do is ask questions first. Understand what you're getting because you want to make sure it aligns with what you actually need. That's how adults make good decisions, not from pressure, from clarity. I've watched people come in unsure, ask thoughtful questions, take time to understand everything. And once they realized how the membership fit into their life, they felt confident moving forward. That's what I want for you too. Not pressure, confidence. Because confidence lasts longer than excitement ever will. So if you stayed with me this whole time, thank you. Let's wrap this up with one simple next step. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with one thing, not a sales pitch, a different perspective. Today, we talked about protecting your peace. We talked about rebuilding self trust. We talked about creating options with backup instead of depending on one paycheck, one path, or one plan. And if you've been thinking, I need more choices in my life, then I want you, I want to give you one simple next step. The first place I recommend starting is the Legal Shield and ID Shield combo membership. It's $44.90 a month, and it's designed for people who want legal support and identity protection while creating a little more peace of mind in everyday life. If today's conversation resonated with you, and if you'd like to know and learn more about how it works, don't overthink it. Just comment the word options. That's it. Comment options, and I'll personally reply, answer your questions, and show you exactly what the membership includes so you can decide whether it's the right fit for you. No pressure, no awkward conversation, just honest information so you can make the best decision for yourself. And before we jump off, I'd love to hear from you. What part of today's conversation stayed with you the most? Or maybe you have a question about something I shared. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and I'd love to continue the conversation with you. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. Never forget this. You don't have to choose between protecting your peace and creating your future. You can build both. One decision, one boundary, one opportunity, one step at a time. And always remember, choose the life that gives you options with backup. Bye. What the
That was
dog
close.
doing?
Is everybody all right? Come back again soon for another challenge.